I thought there was a lot of quality in that squad to at least be able to score goals and get a couple of wins. Well, but to go into Asia and not get any points is
we did talk about it, Foz, on shootout, and you know, it seems to me an awful waste of money and energy if this is the circumstances under which we field the team, with the coach's hand almost tied behind his back.
And that's a really core issue. Why did that happen? Well, my understanding is because the A-League's in a bit of a tender stage, but then that's because of decisions that have been made in the past years that have now sort of been thrust onto a video vidma. I think, I read this week, apparently that the FFA board wants a review into this qualification campaign of the Olyroos alone. But I think there's broader issues there. I just think that it's a perfect time after, you know, a really good change in direction and a lot of great things happening, but to also turn around now after a few years with a couple of really very poor underage tournaments as well, and just turn around and have a really good review with the best minds in the country and say, okay, where are we? What's been done well? What's been done poorly? What can we change now, and how can we continue to evolve?
All right, thank you guys. A reminder to tune into SBS Radio and online on Wednesday night for live coverage of Australia's final third-round FIFA World Cup qualifier against Saudi Arabia. Join David Bashir and Craig Foster from 8 p.m. Eastern for expert commentary and analysis. For frequencies and to catch all of the online simulcast action, head to sbs.com.au/radio. Okay, time for our first break, after which we discuss the ongoing dramas surrounding the game in the country. But first, the World Game catches up with a Socceroos legend.
Remember me, I'm the one who had you, baby.
G'day, I'm Paul Wade, former Socceroo captain.
The two captains, Diego Armando Maradona and Paul Wade. Maradona.
And I think Wade is doing an excellent job with him, not just in marking him, but his contribution to the rest of the game has been first class from Paul Wade.
My best memory as a player, scoring the winning goal in the Southern Division Grand Final in 1985 against Preston in the very last minute.
And Trainees blocks. Another chance, and Miranda puts it away. Paul Wade with the final touch. Juventus has won the Southern Division Grand Final. The heroes, Paul Wade. The fans are so happy.
I do a little bit of work in the media. I coach kids, whether they're at that level or that level. Basically, I go around the country talking about it as well, corporate speaking, having a great time. Wish I had a real job. Yeah, right.
And a bit of sportsmanship there from Paul Wade.
Remember me, I'm the one who had you,
I'm at a Sydney suburban park and I'm here with Socceroo captain Lucas Neal for the launch of a new program for kids. Lucas, tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, it's called Mr. Soccer, even though it's football, but it's all about having fun, being active, so we're getting a bit of fitness and just making friends in a friendly environment, and it's for kids of all levels, 2 years old all the way up to 16. It's disguised babysitting, if you want to call it for that, for the parents. It's for mass participation. It's not about going to an elite level. It's not about a pathway to the top. It's just about coming in, having fun and having a little bit of football.
Okay, well Lucas is going to take me through my paces. Let's go.
Always looking at the ball, always looking at the ball. Yeah, concentration, remember that 1-2, that long 1-2, that's it. And let's go again. He's got this in the bag, there you go. 1, 2, moving away. Come on, mate. Pass up, pass back, pass wide, good touch, open up, and opposite corner. Perfect. And now we slide on.
David Zrilic there with Socceroo skipper Lucas Neal at the launch of his Mr. Soccer program for kids during the week. The turbulence in the relationship between some A-League clubs and the FFA continues unabated. The high winds stirred up by Clive Palmer last week on this show have brought further repercussions, including damage to the relationship between the governing body and another billionaire club owner, Nathan Tinkler, and a charge of a licensing breach against Palmer's Gold Coast United. Today, David Davutovic reported in News Limited publications that A-League chief Lyle Gorman may lose his job, while pressure also mounts on his boss, Ben Buckley. Those allegations were denied by the FFA today in a short press statement, which read, "The chairman of the FFA, Mr. Frank Lowy, has today dismissed as baseless and without substance media reports suggesting that the position of Lyle Gorman as head of Hyundai A-League was under pressure. Lyle Gorman continues in the role of head of Hyundai A-League." And I can tell you that I've also consulted a high-level third-party independent source today, and that person also denied these allegations and said there was no substance to the story. But I wonder if there is something underneath all this, Foz. What puzzles me about this press release, this denial, is that it's extremely short, extremely brief. It's issued by the chairman, not by Ben Buckley, the CEO. And there's just a one line at the end of it saying Lyle Gorman continues in the role of head of the Hyundai A-League. No reference to the quality of his of the work that he's put in so far and of his contribution. Is that odd to you?
It is. It's out of sync, I guess, with most of the press releases that they give out. So immediately, it's sort of it does appear odd. Look, I think it's been an awful week for the game broadly, for the FFA, but for everyone, because issues are coming out now from A-League clubs that have been buried for a long time and clearly have been festering. And the catalyst was, Clive Palmer doing what he's done. In the subsequent week, he's continued to, in fact, the relationship has got worse. So, that relationship is clearly over in many respects. And now he's apparently he's in breach of his participation agreement with, by putting some type of slogan on the front of the shirts and so on. Nathan Tinkler, of course, has serious issues there as well. I guess the real point for me, Les, is this. What is going to be the outcome out of this? If my hope is that this is a real catalyst for the game to sit down and say the owners are unhappy, they have legitimate and serious concerns, and can something change? Because it has to say a lot about the game right now that a number of them, and we know privately the majority of them, are extremely unhappy. They want to see change, and it doesn't speak well of the game that is the case. Okay,
before we draw those broad conclusions, I want to talk specifically now about the alleged breach of the participation agreement with the freedom of speech signage on the shirts and around the ground. Your response to that, Driller?
Firstly, it's, we want to be, when you go to a game, you're watching a game, you just want to be talking about football. So just to put a slogan on and not notify the FFA, I think they were notified by the signage company that it was
by the skilled park people.
By the skilled park people, and that was the only way the FFA came about it. So it wasn't spoken about before. So he's just making a statement, and statements like this are not made, for the game. We want to watch football, and that disappointed me that he chose this forum, whether he's picking a fight with the FFA or it's ongoing from our interview last week. It just keeps going. Since then, he said that it's about refugees. But if that was the case, then why didn't you lead in the whole week and promote the?
Well, let me tell you that even if it's about refugees, which is a pretty long bow, really on this, but
I don't agree with that.
It's against FIFA regulations to make political, ideological or religious statements on your shirts. You can't do it, and I doubt very much whether that signage will appear ever again. But it is symptomatic of this breakdown in the relationship between the FFA and Clive Park.
That's the point. So what has happened on a number of occasions, and including that, is clearly, well, flagrant acts really to go contrary to what the what the participation agreement is. And why is that? Why is it happening? Is because the relationship is broken down. So the FFA has serious problems with a number of the owners, 2 of whom are very public. But what is going to happen now? That is the question. I think that's why, clearly there's been a lot of speculation over the last week. I understand there's going to be some comments tomorrow, so this is going to continue to run and run. It's not over. We need it to be over. But I happen to believe that through this, there could be, or there should be, a better negotiated agreement or a better outcome for the clubs, a better outcome also for the players in terms of their conditions and so on. And in fact, there's a lot of serious player issues as well in the A-League that haven't been made public over a very long period of time. And don't forget, there's a Jason Kalina situation as well, right, which is a very serious one for FFA.
Which is almost totally forgotten, by the way.
And that kid has been treated disgustingly.
Yes.
Disgustingly, right? So
by all parties or just one party? Or
I think quite possibly by a number, but certainly in my view by FFA. That is a kid who's played in 2 World Cups, okay, and he's basically been dropped by them. Despite the fact that they have a legal liability. But aside from the legal, they have a responsibility for any player, but particularly a guy who's done so much for the country, right? So Jason has been basically, I think, hung out to dry. So the game finds itself at a juncture where in some ways the A-League is tracking well, but in many there are serious concerns underneath. Now, the question is whether it's going to truly be dealt with.
The key, just quickly, is that there is a movement by the owners for more control, more input, and I think they're going to get their way to whatever degree. And importantly, tomorrow there's a lunchtime speech by the chairman, Frank Lowy, at the Melbourne Heart. There's a Melbourne Heart lunch, and he's going to have some interesting things to say, I believe, on this matter.
Well, yeah, it will be very interesting to see what he says, but you have to look at what the owners have spent and how much money they are losing every year. So they've got a right to have a say, and now they're voicing it. But it's been very ugly, and I fear that it's going to continue. Some nasty things are still going to come out in the coming weeks.
Watch this space. It'll go on for a while. Time for another short break, then to the action on the field in the A-League. Stay with us.
I hear you're the best in the office, so let's test you out, mate.
All right, mate. Still got it. You're right, he is bad. The table's a bit slant. It's got a bit of a curve on there.
Beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Oh!
It's straight, dead straight.
What part of dead straight? That's beautiful. Oh, that's nice. Curving, it's curving. Oh, come on!
Good game,
Hey, hey.
That's Driller showing he's as handy with a stick just as he was with a football. Andrew Durante and his Phoenix teammates had a week in Sydney to prepare for Saturday night's clash at the SFS. You were at the game as Driller. What did you think?
Well, Sydney had a lot of chances in this game, so it was quite amazing. I was surprised to see how many they created and didn't score, especially Bruno Casarin scores many with his head. But wasn't able to in this match. Wellington then got the goal and then was sitting very deep. This is one of the headers. He had an even better chance a bit later in the half. This is the